Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Why I Became Muslim. My journey started quite a while ago. I obviously heard sometimes Muslims talk about Islam, and I noticed how much they are attached to their religion and how much they love the religion. And I couldn't really understand how, because I had a very negative image about Islam, because everything that I have seen in the media, a lot of negative news, especially in the time when I was younger and when I grew up. So one day I was just interested and I just wanted to look up some information about Islam. And when I did that, I basically started to search on internet and I read something and I've seen some videos on YouTube. And I was especially very interested and very shocked by what I have learned about science in the Quran, because I never had any idea that there was this kind of information in the Quran, that there are modern scientists that just discovered about things that are now proven as scientific facts that were already written in the Quran 1400 years ago. And I was so impressed by that I actually kept reading. I just kept watching videos about Islam, and I noticed that the videos that I've watched were so different than what I imagined Islam to be. And for example, about women in Islam, I've always heard that Muslim women are oppressed, and when I've watched the videos, I've learned totally different information. That Muslim women have actually a lot of rights, and that Islam was actually the first religion that gave the women rights. And because of that reason, I wanted to read the Quran by myself to see if everything that I've learned was really written in the Quran. And that was the moment that I decided to order the Quran. So I ordered the Quran, and when I received it in my hands, it was a very special moment, because I was so excited to start reading the Quran. And while I was reading it, I loved the stories of the prophets, and I found myself crying a lot of times when I read the Quran. And I've learned a lot also from the teachings of Islam. I've learned a lot about many questions that I had about this life that I never really could find an answer to. And the Quran made it actually so much clearer, and everything in life made so much more sense. So every time one of those questions popped up in my head again, I directly remembered what I've read in the Quran or what I have understood by the teachings of Islam. And that made me feel actually calm, because in the past I just used to overthink about things, and now I had, let's say, an answer for my questions. So that made me feel really good. And I've learned also a lot about myself, because some things that I've read in the Quran, I mirrored it on my personal situation or my personal behavior, for example. So slowly but surely I just started to change and to change my behavior. So I stopped drinking alcohol, and I already didn't eat pork because I already was vegetarian, and I wanted to try to fast in the time of Ramadan last year. And at the end, I managed to fast the whole month of Ramadan in 2021. And again, I have learned so much from that experience, and that we must be so grateful also for everything that we have. Alhamdulillah. In that time, in the time of Ramadan, I found also the motivation to really focus on Islam, and I wanted to learn how to pray. So I was practicing how to pray. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube also for children, just to understand how to pray and to learn the surahs. Before that time, I started to making dua to Allah, but I wanted to do it properly, because I was actually in that time already starting to believe, but I was not really stand fast in the religion, because I came from such a different world, and And to change everything, it is really not that easy. Of course, in the beginning, I had many doubts and many questions also. When I was reading the Quran, by the way, I bought the Quran in Dutch language because I don't understand Arabic. So I bought it in my own language to understand it as good as possible. But still, I had a lot of questions and I didn't understand everything when I've read the Quran for the first time. So I wrote down many questions and I tried to figure everything out and to get information to make everything clear for me. But the point is that I actually never let go of Islam anymore. I just noticed myself practicing the teachings of Islam into my daily life, and a lot of things really made so much sense to me. And because of doing that, I saw that my life was already becoming better and I started to feel better also. I've had a very hard time, especially the years before I started to read about Islam, and this is something really personal for me, so I'm not going to share it with you right now. Maybe in the future, when I'm ready for that, maybe I decide to share the whole story with you one time. But there are just things that are personal, and I struggled a lot with those things in life. And after learning about Islam, I saw that all of that was not that heavy anymore as it was before, because I could see everything more in perspective. And I really loved a lot of things that I've learned about Islam. And it was so logical to me as well that I just started to bring it into my life. Until today, I still do it without even really thinking about it. That was one of the moments that I actually started to realize maybe I am a Muslim. But to take that step to really take my Shahada was a little bit difficult for me because it is such a big step. And besides that, my family is not Muslim and they didn't really know anything about Islam basically. And saying your Shahada and becoming a Muslim feels like a very, very big step, because if I wanted to do that, I want to do also everything as good as possible, obviously, and I wanted to be 100% sure that this is the way that I wanted to follow in my life. So that's why I took my time to say my Shahada, but I did, and I feel so grateful that I said my Shahada, and I feel so welcome in the Muslim community. So that is really, really great. I'm so grateful and I am so happy that I decided in that time to read and to learn about Islam, because if I didn't do that, maybe I would not be here today. Probably I didn't mention everything, all the reasons why I became Muslim in this video, because honestly there are a lot of reasons. So I'm pretty sure that I forgot some things to tell you as well. However, this is basically the reason why I became Muslim. I hope that you enjoyed to watch this video.